Hello, yes, it's me, and welcome to another episode of Don't Look at My Hair, It Really Needs a Cut. Because it's almost finals week and I don't have to do a lot of editing for it. Just thinking about all of the big animated movies that have been out in the past 5 years-ish, and like thinking about all of their cast of characters and actually trying to break down the characters' like faces and traits and seeing if I would even be able to remember them. A lot of them I couldn't. There's something about so many character designs as of late that are just all kind of generic to me. Like they're all plasticky and soft and squishy. Does that make any sense? Like, where are the angles? Where are the lines, you know? Maybe it's just 3D animation. Maybe we've gotten to a point where, like, it's hard to keep stylization. It's hard to keep those, like, distinct visual stuff that you get with movies like Hercules or Sleeping Beauty, you know, where it has a very distinct style that the animators drew in with, like, swirls and curls and the rest. But I don't know, because it's like I also think to a lot of Pixar movies. Pixar movies are the only ones that I can think of in recent years that are doing anything interesting with character design at all. Like the best examples I think of are like Ratatouille and The Incredibles. Like Ratatouille, like I love those character designs. Like everyone is different and everyone's physical qualities tell you a little bit about them. You can tell them apart. The women don't all look the same, even though there aren't a lot of women in Ratatouille. You get my point. Like Colette, like she has a look and you can identify it. She's got that like big nose that's kind of like teardrop fate. It's kind of like teardrop shaped. Kind of has like an Elsa shaped head with like cheekbones that come out and sort of rounded. She has like longer, narrower eyes than, say, Linguini. Linguini, who has like a weak chin. He's got like also a big teardrop nose, but it's kind of long. I don't know. It's kind of longer and it doesn't stick out as much. You know what I mean? He's got like rounder eyes. He has like no shoulders. You know, and it's like you know those characters, you can recall them. And then I try and think of literally any Illumination movie, and I'm like, they were human. They had round eyes. IDK, man. And a lot of this irritation does come up when I think about female character design. I think Pixar is, again, doing well. I guess Illumination has that one character who is Gru's girlfriend and then wife in the Despicable Me movies. Like, at least they gave her a big nose. Thank you. I don't know. Like, at least they're giving a female character a big nose. And then I think of, like, Disney animation. Like, just Disney, no Pixar. And I'm just, like, not impressed. Even Big Hero 6, which I love, which I think isn't that bad at designs, since they have like a fairly diverse group of main characters. I still think Honey Lemon and Go-Go's eyes look like just too similar. Like, you guys have too much eyes. Like, shrink those eyes, bring them up a little, give them cheekbones. They're in college, you know? And then I started to be like, well, maybe I'm just, you know, growing up and realizing this, and Disney has always been like this, like it's not gonna change. But I really thought about it, and I don't think that's the case. Like, think back to like Cinderella or Sleeping Beauty, which were both ages ago, and it's like, yeah, they're exaggerated because, you know, they're animation. I don't expect you to be photorealistic. There'd be no point to animation. Like Cinderella, yeah, she had slightly bigger eyes. Her head was a little big for her body, so expression could be read really easily. But it's like she's still like human. She's still a woman. You can still read her as a woman, not a teenage girl. or a weird giant-eyed doll. And I think the turning point really was the Renaissance with The Little Mermaid, because then I think Ariel is probably the closest to the modern Disney girl look, at least from back then. Her eyes are bigger, her head is bigger for her body. I'd say her body proportions are pretty much the same as like Rapunzel, Anna, Elsa proportions, you know, like long neck, small shoulders, really exaggerated waist. But I still don't think her eyes are as huge as Rapunzel's were. But yeah, after that, I think then we had like Jasmine and Belle and Pocahontas, who were upped a little bit in the exaggeration, but still not to the point that they are today. Tangled really took it up a notch. And I say this like I'm not hating on the movie, because I love that movie. I love the characters and plot, which is why it was easier for me to kind of forgive how gigantic Rapunzel's eyes are and how small she is. I get that you're, you know, a wide-eyed, innocent 18-year-old. So maybe I can look past it, even if it's a little annoying how much of your face your eyes take up, you know? Then we got Frozen, and like to the same extent, how giant these girls' eyes were, but they also dropped the ball in other character design regions. At least I think so. I am no expert. Please don't. I'm not a character designer, but like Elsa and Anna literally have the same face. They literally just copy pasted, changed the coloring on one of them. And I think that's lazy, and I don't think you should be like, well, they're sisters. Yeah, I know. I have a sister. I've been told tons of times that we look exactly alike. I've known people with sisters who look really, really alike, even if they're not twins. But like, there are still differences in our faces, you know? I have a different shaped nose than my sister. I have a longer neck than my sister. My sister has a bigger face than I do. Like, I don't you can't just copy paste the same. This is Disney. They have so much money, and that movie was so well animated. You couldn't, especially when Elsa is older, it's like, don't come at me with that exact same baby face as your sister. Shrink her eyes, bring them up so she has actual cheekbones. Like, you couldn't have changed up one thing. You couldn't have embiggened her nose a little bit. You couldn't have sharpened her chin a tiny bit. Like, I don't get it. And their mother looks the exact same as them. She's the exact same face. A grown-ass woman has the exact same face as her daughters. Except for different hair color. Like, really? You're telling me a grown-ass woman has those big eyes? She looks like a doll. And even Tangled didn't do that. Even Tangled had differences between Rapunzel and her mother's faces. Her mother has like a more defined jawline. She has slightly more cheekbones. Her eyes aren't as big, if I recall correctly, because she's a grown woman. I think she's even a little darker than Rapunzel. It's like, that's why you had all those people who were saying that Anna and Elsa and Rapunzel have the exact same face when the movie came out. Because, I mean, they don't. Like, if you look at them for 2 seconds, you can notice subtle differences. Rapunzel is very rounder. Her face is rounder. She has more lips that are fuller. She has a rounder nose, while Anna and Elsa sort of have cheekbones that stick out more. Pointier noses. They have more bottom lip than top lip, which is a very white girl thing. But it's like, at first glance, yeah, they look really similar. And that's still a problem. Because it's like, as I understand it, again, not an expert, character design, you want the characters to be different from each other, so they're identifiable, and you also want them to say something about the character. I don't know what Anna and Elsa's character designs say about each other. They're really alike, except they're not. Isn't that the whole point? That they led very different lives. They feel very differently. And if Elsa is supposed to be the more like refined, put together one, why not give her like higher cheekbones, a pointed chin, I don't know, something. Why not have Anna's eyes be bigger than her sister's in comparison, because she's the one who's like curious about the world and wanting to interact with it. I don't think, honestly, sometimes animation suffers because of that boring, generic character design. Some animation products that have that like really exaggerated, almost too exaggerated design when it comes to like eyes and heads being really big. I think of like Winx, I think of Littlest Pet Shop, I think of Lollyrock. You know, like there are moments where how long the Winx characters' legs are, like, seem a little awkward when they're moving around. Sometimes Littlest Pet Shop characters with those really big heads, like, it feels like you can't get as much, you know, exaggerated movement from them. Same with like Lollyrock. You know, it's like it's finding a balance. Like, yeah, you want them to be really expressive, but you also want them to be functional. And I think some moments in Tangled or Frozen kind of suffer because of those giant eyes. You know, like if you had a little more mouth, then maybe this crying scene would feel different. Maybe if your eyes weren't so huge, it wouldn't look as weird. I think Moana was a step in the right direction. She also kind of had that look, but I really liked her face. Maybe it was just because they strayed away from a European look because she was a Pacific Islander. So it kind of forced them to play with a different facial structure. Like she had fuller lips, she had a wider nose. And I also really liked that they played with the body proportions a little bit. Like they were still exaggerated. Her head was still big. Her feet were still really small. But like the small blocky feet and the small blocky hands kind of serve the purpose of like a sort of chunkier, muscular arms and legs physique kind of thing. So like hopefully they just do more of that. I'm not hating the looks of, what was that new movie? You know the new movie. You know the new movie, the dragon one. I don't remember. I'm not hating it. I still think her eyes are kind of big, not gonna lie, but maybe we'll learn. I don't know. I just want more female characters with big noses. That is all. Please make me president of Hollywood and I will make it happen, okay? Let me know what you think or don't. See ya.